This is Bang Bang Rahil. Yeah, all through my sentence, from early age, I met some really nice people, some proper people, gangsters, people you'd never in a million years would see. I mean, there's so many people that are dead now. Most of them are dead. Uh, I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones to see them, talk to them, sat down, talk about their life and bits and pieces like that. And it's lovely, man. Last night I put Vicar on, Vicar the film, and I looked and my cousin Adam Faith was he played a part in it, and I remember me, Tony Lawrence in the film was the guy with the glasses, who's the weightlifter. And the vicar made him out to look a bit of a fool. And I met Tony Lawrence in Chelmsford Prison, but he's going to go on before that anyway. But I'll just say a little bit about that. And I met Tony Lawrence in Chelmsford Prison, and Chelmsford, there's a lot of gangsters in Chelmsford Prison, a lot of bad people, but nice people, yeah, people that I really got to know and got to like, yeah. Um, I met Tony Lawrence in there. Tony Lawrence is a nice guy, but when I was in there, Tony said to me, "Listen, mate, when you get out, I'll give you my address. Come and see me." Yeah. So, I mean, whilst I was in there, I remember me and Tony sitting in his cell I was having a cup of tea and having a chat, and he was talking to me about the vicar, away because the vicar was the one that went out the hole first of all and mucked it up for everybody where everybody should have gone, uh, and uh, and then he done the film called The Vicar, which I watched last night, and he sort of like made Tony Lawrence look a bit of a fool. And Tony Lawrence, when I got out of prison, I met Tony Lawrence. He wanted to kill the Vicar, and a couple of times I went with Tony just to see the Vicar and running around Battersea Park. But he was never around at that time. In a way that the vicar was lucky, and maybe so was I, and so was Tony. At that time, Tony was a complete dangerous man. He used to drive around with hand grenades in his car, and also 38 Smith and Wesson, 5 shot. I mean, he was like a dangerous man. I should imagine he's one of the most dangerous men I've ever met. Tony Lawrence. He died of a heart attack, I believe. But when I met him in Fulham, and anyway, me and him used to talk quite a lot, and he was a nice guy, but very dangerous. But watching that film last night, I can imagine where he got the ump about McVicker. I mean, he was telling me that McVicker could have a right fight. He wasn't no arsehole. He could have a right fight, McVicker, and he was like he was on the film. He was a bit of a nutcase. He did go crazy a few times, smash a few things up and this that, and the other, but so drew a lot of cons, yeah. And but he did say that he could have a fight, Vicar, and but he said he disrespected me and he's got to go. It was as easy as that. Anyway, move on. Me when I went to the scrubs after my YP, um, I mean the scrubs. I was going to be made up. I was going to be made up as but I did get made up as a star from the YP to the scrubs, and eventually I got released. I got released from the scrubs. I got parole. Parole was a kid. What got 3.5 years. I've done nearly 3.5 years. You know what I mean? Because all the remission, all lost and bits and pieces, but I still got parole anyway. And whilst I was there at the scrubs, I had a job where I would take a lot of my laundry and stuff to the laundry. I pick all the kits up and stuff and take them to the laundry. And I met Buster Edwards. I mean, that fantastic, mate. To meet Buster Edwards in the prison, and he was a short guy. But he was like you could see he's on the weights. He had massive shoulders, big arms, but very tiny. I met. I remember some of their names now. I met Gordon Goody, Bobby Welsh, James Hussey, all these sort of people that was in the. I mean, Brian Fields. but he got acquitted, Brian Fields. He got off an appeal. But quite a lot of people I met in there, in the scrubs. I mean, sort of like to meet Buster Edwards and to watch the film Buster is fantastic. You know what I mean? Because Buster Edwards is a nice, nice guy. I was only a young kid, going there and sort of like to meet the train robbers. Do you know what I mean? To meet them people in the scrubs was fantastic, mate. It was fantastic to go there maybe once or twice a week into the laundry and meet them people and just sort of like talk to them, you know, and it's fantastic, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like they're legends. They're legends. You know what I mean? People out there might read their books, might see their films, but I actually see them people. I actually shook their hand. You know what I mean? And it's like unbelievable, really. Same as Tony Lawrence. Tony Lawrence, he's a proper gangster. Frankie Fraser. I mean, everybody knows Frankie Fraser. Everybody's heard of Frankie Fraser. I mean, I've been in Frankie Fraser's cell, and that time I nicked 2 eyes off a sheep and put them on Frankie Fraser's pillow. I never forget that. You know what I mean? All my life, that was so funny. To catch Frankie's bed was unbelievable at that time in the morning, but I did, and that's why I put them eyes on his pillow. Yeah. So me and Frank had lots of words together. He didn't like Tony Lawrence. I mean, him and Tony Lawrence didn't get on at all. Frankie Fraser wanted to kill Tony, and Tony wanted to kill Frank. It's not one of them things. I think that maybe it's because Frank was a little bit involved with the craze as well, wrapped around the craze. You know, that's what I was told, that he'd see the craze, talk to the craze, where Tony Lawrence was really against him. He was with Charlie Richardson and Eddie Richardson, big time, yeah. He was wrapped around. He was a very, very dangerous man, Tony Lawrence. And I mean, to meet Tony was fantastic. And to meet Eddie Richardson, I mean, come on. I mean, to go to Lewisham and to meet Eddie, just after about a week, 3 days a week of being in Lewisham, to go down to the pub at the end of my road and walk in there to sort of like put my, you know, to start meeting people and to go bump in there and to meet Eddie Richardson. And it was unbelievable, you know what I mean? It was like mad. It was mad, you know what I mean? Sort of like you hear about all these gangsters and this, that, and the other, and to meet him, to shake his hand and talk to him. And then he was young, he was like very, very, very fit looking, hard man, you know, dangerous man. And to also meet his brother, Charlie. I met Charlie. I was going over Charlie's house in New Cross, over that way. And I met him with Jimmy Tibbet. Jimmy Tibbet introduced me to him. To shake Charlie Richardson's hand, it was nice. You know, proper gentleman, nice talking guy, no gangsterism about him at all. Where Eddie was a proper gangster, mate. He was a very, very hard, dangerous man. He still got a lot of power even today. He had a lot of power then, mate. He wouldn't want to muck about with Eddie Richardson at that time. I mean, some of the people that was in the pub with him, you know, I mean, they're proper gangsters too. I mean, you know, and to meet all these gangsters that I did as a kid, as not as a young man, you know what I mean? And it's fantastic. I mean, even Reggie Cray, Ronnie Cray, I've not actually shook their hands. But I passed them. I mean, I passed them in prisons, you know what I mean? As you do when you're on transit, you know, see them people and see how they are, how they look, and you know, you'd be surprised how small they are, how tiny they were in comparison to what they make them out to be, big people. They was very tiny people, but you know, had a lot of power, had a lot of influence on people. And then I met my mate in Chelsea prison. I met Ronnie Bender. I mean, Ronnie Bender, nice guy. The guy was a gentleman, you know. I mean, he got a life for just giving the craze the knife to kill Jack the Hat. Should he got that sort of sentence? I mean, he got 20 years in, something like that. 25 years, I'm not quite sure really. I've not checked it out, but Ronnie Bender was a mate of mine. Ronnie Bender was a gentleman, a proper gentleman. When I met him, he gave me tea, coffee, sugar, milk. He'd give me everything, yeah, biscuits, cakes, whatever I wanted, he'd give me. Yeah, a nice guy. Um, I used to do a lot of exercises in his cell. Seriously, I was going there and do all these neck rolls, yeah, because he had all these cushions and all that. I used to put them in the corner and do loads of neck rolls. And he took it to me one. I was a youngish, hard, hard man, yeah, who's going to grow up to be a proper gangster, and meeting them people like the Tibbs, Jimmy Tibbs, the old man, Robert Tibbs, Johnny Tibbs, Jimmy Tibbs, the fighter. I mean, to meet all them, it's fantastic. I mean, they got good names, the Tibbses. To meet them in Chelmsford like I did, was fantastic for me, what I mean, as a kid, to meet these names, people that you read about, in papers, read about in books, and you meet them face to face. And there's nothing, I mean, everybody out there, I mean, loads and loads of people out there, gangsters, and people that do podcasts, people that do lots of whatever they do, they ain't had it, mate. They ain't seen it. They ain't done it. I've been there. I've been there. I've seen all these people, yeah. I've shook their hands. Alan Dixon. I mean, proper gangster. Alan Dixon, Georgie Dixon, run with them people, you know what I mean? Proper hard people, dangerous people. Doing books like this goes out of fashion, you know what I mean? And to meet them people, yeah, was I was lucky. Terry Millman. Terry Millman got involved with the dome when Nick tried to nick that big diamond out there. I think Terry Millman died of a heart attack. I was a big gangster, Terry Millman. I was in Chelmsford with him. Terry Millman was hard man, fantastic guy, a painter. Could paint anything, man. He was like unbelievable painter, very dangerous man. I mean, he used to run around with my mate Togie Ludlow. Togie Ludlow I met in Chelmsford. I didn't meet him. I've known him all my life, Togie. Togie Ludlow, very, very, very dangerous man. I mean, he used to run around with Terry Millman and Lou Swallow. There was quite a few people on name. I could see their faces. The names sort of go for me, and but some proper Mickey Green. Look at Mickey Green. I mean, he was multi-millionaire, Mickey Green, one of the biggest drug dealers ever, Mickey Green. Become a friend of mine. I first met Mickey Green in Harrow, in the club. He had a big club in Harrow. I met him there with loads of people. I mean, all the Wembley bank robbers was there. Dave Delaney, Jim Wilkinson. What was it? It's Jim Wilkinson, yeah, Jim Wilkinson, and all that lot. To meet all these people in my life have written books, and one day they're gonna make a film of the Wembley lot. They must make a film about them. I mean, it'd be a good film, yeah. I mean, that lot was proper. I mean, to meet all that lot. Even Bertie Smalls. I met Bertie Smalls, become the first supervisor ever. I met him at Harrow, at Mickey Green's club, and then to meet Mickey Green in Chelmsford Prison. Mickey Green was minted, mate. He was a multi-millionaire. Even then, I mean, then he moved to America, I believe. He died in America. I think he got 20 years in America. I'm not quite sure. The guy was just wasn't flash, but he ate every day. He ate really, really good. He had a mate called Tony Edlin. I love Tony Edlin. Tony Edlin, a nice guy with glasses, and his son Rocky Edlin. Rocky Edlin was Rocky even then, there today. I mean, Rocky Edlin is a complete handful, mate. He can have it, Rocky. His dad, Tony, proper man, mate. I like Tony. I think Mickey Green should have looked after Tony more than what he did. Tony Edlin's a nice guy. I remember Mickey Green talking to Tony and saying, look, when we eventually get out of these places, I will look after you, Tony. And Tony Edlin looks after Mickey Green whilst he's in prison. Tony Edlin wasn't no fool. We can have a fight, Tony. He looked after Mickey Green. It was like them two was together 24/7. Always. I mean, to meet, there was people, Ronnie Malloy. I mean, look at Ronnie Malloy. I was in the kitchen with Ronnie Malloy. Ronnie Malloy worked in the pantry. He was one of the silver bullion people that the big raid on the security van. They done a silver bullion, and I was always talking. I was always talking to Ronnie Malloy, trying to get information about where he buried it, because Ronnie Malloy buried a lot of his silver. Is a diamond one. It was just this geezer, man. Every day you see him walk out of the kitchen. I mean, he looked after the PO, the SO in there, Mitchell. I just imagine he made parcels up for them, because he was always walking out in parcels. You could see it. They just let him go, you know what I mean? Sugar, tea, milk. He just do what he wanted to do, you know. Ronnie Malloy. There's a few people out there who know Ronnie Malloy. I like Ronnie Malloy. He was a nice fella. Gorgeous Georgie Jones, come from Paddington that way. Georgie Jones, another nice guy. I mean, I nearly killed George once in the kitchen. Got him round the neck, and then he choked him to death. It was only Jimmy Tibbs, that stopped me from murdering him. Seriously, we had a bit of a row, and I got him, and I wouldn't let him go. But Jimmy Tibbs parted us, and that was it. You know, Tony Lawrence, not Tony Lawrence. Sorry, Peter Lyons, guy called Peter Lyons, Big Peter. Me and Peter was like best of pals in Chelsea. Peter Lyons, he played rugby with me. He was a prop, I was prop, you know, and we was like stickers, mate. We stuck together. Any fights, we fought together, yeah. And a couple of times I've had a fight with Peter over milk. You know, he wanted to kill me once over milk, and it didn't go. It didn't happen. He come over to my side with a big carving knife. I picked up a big weight, but it was like crazy, really. We were pals, you know, my mates. That was over milk. The thing you could die over a pint of milk is crazy. To die over a pint of milk, you know what I mean? It's mad. And look at Mickey Blackmore. Mickey Blackmore, mate. I mean, Mickey Blackmore, proper gangster. He's a legend, mate. Mickey Blackmore. He's a legend. Very, very nice guy. He was the captain of the rugby team. I've never heard anybody run Mickey Blackmore down. They didn't, because Mickey Blackmore was a hitman. He was a top hitman. I mean, you know, I heard loads of stories about him when I was in Chelsea prison. Loads of stories that you think, nah, you know what I mean. But when I met Mickey Blackmore outside, I met him with my father-in-law, Mickey Johnson. Mickey Blackmore was a proper hitman. You know, he was a proper hitman. And when he went over to Holland, I think he went over to Holland to kill someone with my father-in-law. I believe that they killed him in a room. And my father-in-law, how he did it, I don't know, but he picked him up, put him in the back of the boot of the car, and brought him back to England. Yeah. Fair play to my father-in-law. He got out of there, just picked him up on his shoulder, and run down the stairs, or wherever he run down with him, put him in the back of the car, and drove him back to England. That was Mickey Blackmore. Mickey Blackmore's a very, very respected man. There's a lot of people out there who would know Mickey Blackmore. Very, very, very respected. I like Mick. He used to shout a lot. He used to go mad on the rugby field. He shout at us all the time. I was very good. I was a good prop and good second row. I was very good. If I got that ball, mate, if I was like anywhere near the line, 10 yards away from the line, 2 meters, 3 meters, let me tell you something. Once I got that ball, mate, they weren't stopping me. I'd go through them like a tank. Yeah, I was big, man, big, powerful man. And I mean, Chelmsford Prison was a good prison for me. I met some really, really nice people, and to meet to meet these people, you know, and they're all legends, and a lot of people write books about these people. They're legends, yeah. And to meet them, and to think that I've shook their hands, you know, and I was there, which is also which is another legend. When Chelmsford Prison burnt down, I was there at that time when Chelmsford Prison burnt down. It's crazy, man. When that burnt down, I mean, that was like, it's like a film, you know what I mean? To be in the gym, and just for all the smoke and all that, and you think, nah, and it started burning down, mate. And all them paedophiles and nonsense was upstairs above the block, and they was all screaming out the windows, let us out, and all that going, you know what I mean? But they did eventually let them out. Obviously, I don't think no one died in Chelmsford Prison when it burnt. No one escaped. It was such an easy plan. It's such an easy gap to get out of as well, you know what I mean? I remember being in the kitchen. The greatest things that I've ever seen in the kitchen was Ronnie Bender with Jimmy Tibbet, the old man. When Jimmy Tibbs would cut legs off a lamb or whatever, off a pork, off a pig or whatever it may be, and they give it to Ronnie Bender. Ronnie Bender would put it in a dustbin or whatever, walk out of it, and it's a regular thing. The screws let it go, didn't know it was happening, you know what I mean? But it was still undercover. It was still like it was doing a bit of work, you know what I mean? Oh, but the screws, listen, we see it, the screws definitely see it, you know what I mean? And it was, I loved it. I mean, you walked in Chelmsford, in our wing, and it smelled, mate. You could smell food all around the neck. Lamb being cooked, beef being cooked, pork being cooked, bacon, eggs, tomato. It was like a proper, this prison was like unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, I've seen things going in that prison you just wouldn't believe, you know. But it was a great place. I mean, as prisons go to be, that's a legend. That place, that will always be a legend. Chelmsford Prison in them days. I mean, to see a prison go up in smoke, and to see a prison which is the best prison, everybody cried when they come out of there, mate, because they're all wound up in Wandsworth, the Scrubs, the Ville, the Brixton. They were shipped them all over the gaff, yeah. And to be in a place where you're open 24 hours a day, cook what you want to cook, walk round the prison as you want to walk round it, like no one's business, you know. And then prison starts burning down, and you're put in Wandsworth, mate. I remember when it burnt down, yeah, I was massive. I was really, really big. I couldn't get shirts on or nothing like that. The amount of t-shirts, I had to stretch them to get them on and things like that. And when I went to Wandsworth Prison, they couldn't get nothing to fit me. They couldn't get shirts to fit me and all that. They couldn't do up around the arms because my arms were so big. The chest was massive, but the belly, they could get me a shirt that would maybe do up about there, and the belly would be massive with big fat people. Well, I wasn't fat. I was this big, massive, mate. And it was like, I remember being in reception, and they was trying to get all sorts of stuff to fit me, and they couldn't. And eventually they got a couple of shirts, gave me these shirts, but they couldn't do them up the wrist, and they couldn't do this. And walking around to the centre in Wandsworth, about the centre, the Wandsworth Centre, yeah, is cast iron. It's all ornate. It's all cut out. It's all nice, yeah. And you've got people that that walk over there and polish it all day long with black boot polish it honestly. They're polishing it all the time, and they're about the only ones who are allowed to walk across that corrugated centre. There's only two people that I know of that have walked across that centre. One's Frankie Fraser, right? He used to do it all the time. They got sick of it. They got sick of bashing him up and chucking him down the block and doing all sorts of things to him. And the other one was Roy Shaw. Roy Shaw was another one that they walked across the centre, didn't care, and was knocking screws out left and right and centre. Roy Shaw was a very, very hard man, and he like he give it to the screws in Wandsworth. He did. I never see it. It's something that was what said to you. And he's a legend, boy, and so's Frankie Fraser. They'll always be legends, yeah. And it's like it's a joke, you know what I mean? To hear that and to see that. I remember Davy Long. Davy Long. I think what's his other name? Brother's name, Johnny Long. I thought. Well, I'm not quite sure. When we all got chucked out of Albany, over not the first time, the second time was at Albany. We got chucked out, all loads of us. For there's going to be a riot. Something was going to happen, and we was going to smash the place up. And they got smell of it and chucked us all out of Albany. Yeah, and one at Wandsworth, Davy Long and his other brother, they didn't care. You know, they was like they was just didn't care, and they walked across the centre. They didn't care, mate, and they got nearly killed. I swear to God, mate. They bashed these two up. I mean, we all went mad. I think at that time, and I'm not quite remembering it. I'm not quite sure. Don't say this as being gospel. I'm not quite sure if it was caged up at each wing. Then each wing was caged up, like they had barriers, cages that you shouldn't get to other wings, or it was still open. Yeah, because when I first went to Wandsworth Prison years ago, it was open. You could walk from wing to wing, yeah, and all that sort of. Not you couldn't do it, but that's what people used to do, yeah. But there was a lot of people getting stabbed in there, and and people getting murdered in there. They put the gates up. They put the gates up each wings to stop people. But I'm not quite sure if the gates were there when the long and his brother done the centre because all that lot from Chelmsford Prison was going mad. I mean, I mean, I was massive, mate. I was big. I remember walking on the landing in Wandsworth Prison. I'd been there one day, and I was walking down the landing, and I swear this is unbelievable. About 4 screws pulled me into a cell. I thought, what the fuck's going on here? You know what I mean? Pulled me into a cell, and they couldn't believe the size of me. And they said to me, "Where'd you come from?" I said, "Chelmsford Prison, mate." What was you on steroids? Steroids? What's that? Because I didn't even know myself what they were. I said, no, mate, no, just baker's yeast. What do you mean baker? Just take a nip of that, and that was it. And it's made me like this, mate. Massive, yeah. And I was so powerful, mate. I was so big, so powerful, yeah. And I was massive. Must have been one of the biggest guys ever to be in prison. And and I could never really have it. I could really march through. And I was one of the. Listen, I know. Well, I know that shut doubt. I was one of the hardest guys in English jails. I mean, a lot of them talk about what's his name? Comes from up north, the fighter who fought John O'Gardner, Sykes. A lot of people talk about Sykes, and he was this, he was that. Listen, mate, everyone, the nick I was in was saying to me, "You should go, Ray. You kill Sykes, you smash Sykes to pieces." And I'm not being funny. No big-headed Charlie Potatoes, as that's my little name. But I think I could have done. Do you know what I mean? At that time, honestly, I was like an handful, mate. I was an handful. I'd fight anybody. I didn't care, mate. A young powerful kid, fight any man in prison, and I was. And I thought I was a governor wherever I went. I didn't care for no one. Anybody want to fight, I'd have it. It don't matter who they were, mate. I met some good people in prison. I met some really, really good people in prison. The Bowie brothers, John and Parky Bowie. Nice people, yeah. Gentlemen, mate. Gentlemen, gangsters, legends, yeah. John and Parky Bowie. Proper nice people. I mean, Paul Seaborn, a guy called Paul Seaborn, met him in prison. Paul, no, he's a bad man, Paul Seaborn, mate. Really dangerous gangster, old gangster, dangerous man. Ray Rosa, another one, the Rosa brothers. People that watching my podcast never heard of these people. Google them, like Ray Rosa brothers, the Rosas. Listen, Paul Seaborn, proper dangerous man. There was some dangerous people when I was in Chelmsford in Albany. I mean, Pat Adams.
I mean, come on, Pat Adams is a legend, mate. I mean, I work with Pat. You know, I like Pat, mate. I like Pat Adams, not because he's Pat Adams, because he's a big family. Uh, I, I like Pat. I like Pat because the way he was, the way that he talks, he didn't care, mate. He didn't care for people. You think, what, because his name's Pat Adams, he didn't care. He could be Charlie Big Potatoes, mate. He didn't care. He'd have a fight with anybody, Pat. You know, he didn't care about his name. And that days when I met him, he wasn't that big. That wasn't a big Adams's end. You know, they were still big, but they wasn't. So that's when they first started. You know, they was roofers, I think. You know, and Pat was a nice guy, mate. He had a lot of respect. He made a lot of respects. He met a lot of proper nice people. There was always with Pat. Pat would go, you know, he was nice, mate. He invited me quite a few times to the cell to have talked to. I didn't really get involved in it with Pat and all that. My best mate at that time in Albany was Peter Kelly. I mean, me and Peter Kelly, mate. I mean, me and Peter Kelly was very tight, very together. When he had a fight, I'd have a fight. We fought together, mate, and we got back to back. Them sort of places you got to be back to back. Chelmsford Prison, you got to be back to back because not Chelmsford Prison, sorry, Albany, you got to be back to back, yeah, because Albany is a dangerous place, mate. When I first went to Albany, lots of stories. When you first go to Albany, when you hear about it, you go, I'm going to Albany, mate. Isle of Wight. Everybody's heard of Parkhurst. But Albany was a new prison. And you think, go there. And when I first went to Albany, mate, they had no big fences around Albany or nothing like that. Or there had no fences in Albany. That was a later thing, Mountbatten. Mountbatten was the one who introduced fencing inside prisons because of what happened with him with the RA and other things, you know. But Mountbatten was the one. The Mountbatten thing was he was the one who put fences all inside prison, Mountbatten, yeah. But there was nothing there when I went there. When I went to Albany, nothing. And it was just Albany was a good prison, mate, when I went there. Proper dangerous place to be. They put a lot of dangerous people in there. Loads of RA they put in there. There's loads of RRA. I mean, Yami. We had a bit of an argument, Yami, about Albany Prison being A cats and double A cats because Albany Prison was a B cat, and I said, no, it's a B cat. But I did find out that Albany Prison did hold A cat, double A cat prisoners. A lot of them were RA, you know, RIA, and they was like nice guys, just normal people, mate. Normal people that done their own thing. That was terrorists. You know, I mean, doesn't matter if they're terrorists, mate, or what they are. To be nasty people, they're just doing their cause. They're there for their cause. You know, whatever they blow up and do, we know. Listen, we know what they've done was wrong in lots of ways. Or they blow up what they blew up. Yeah, but they was doing it for their own things, mate. You know, and it's the same as what the British government do. You know, they go over to different countries with planes and throw bombs on all sorts of places and kill innocent people. But they can get away with it because it's out. Nobody really hears about it until later on. But the RA, same thing, mate. Same thing. The soldiers, they did what they did. You know, and you know they were not. I met some really nice RA geezers in there, mate. When I was at Albany, yeah. Names that I forget, you know, the names sort of like went above me. My mate Nicky Smith was in Albany with me, but he was in D-Wing with them RA, and he was telling me, Ray, they was proper nice people, proper guys, like normal people, mate, and you know, they dangerous. I mean, come on, they're dangerous. You know, people that, I mean, if you upset one and bash one up and done him in, they come around and blow your house up. And Scrooge was petrified to do certain things. It's the same as Pat Adams. He's known late on in life when he was petrified to them people, because them people don't care about what they do or they hurt, mate. They're nice people. You could sit and talk to them people, you know, Pat, and say, come on, mate, come and have a bit of dinner with me, Ray, and all that, go and cook a big meal downstairs and give me meals and all that in my cell. I'm joking. Nice people, mate, you know. And me and Pat fell out over something stupid, but I like Pat, mate. Pat Adams, I liked a lot. And I also liked the guy that was around him, Mickey Gooch, was my best pal, mate. I love Mick. Me and this fell out, and you know, like, as you do in life, over fucking nothing, something that's so stupid, you know. Anyway, but that's what happens. But you know, anyway, and then you move on to other places, you know, and meet nice people. In my life, mate, I've met so many. I mean, I remember a guy also got killed in Holland, Roy Atkins. Roy Atkins was also a rugby player. He was also the captain of one at Chelmsford Prison rugby at one stage. Then Mickey Blackmore, them two together, it was all always arguing. But Roy Atkins, another hitman, Roy Atkins, dangerous man. And I'll keep saying dangerous people, but they are dangerous people. Check them out, mate. Roy Atkins. Watkins, Mickey Blackmore together was a proper dangerous people, mate. A proper hitman. Didn't really get on the sats, you know. But anyway, yeah, nice people, mate. And listen, I can go on and on and on. I you know, and I've got so many stories about, you know, in Chelsea prison. So many stories about Albany and them sort of places that I was in. Wandsworth, mate. God, bloody hell. You know, Ben the Jumie and all that little firm. And I mean, there's a lot of, Ben the Jumie, another one, got done with he was a big arms deal with the RFs and all that. And I think the RFs got acquitted, I'm not quite sure. Duggan, I think it was, or Duke, who got involved with that. Ben the Jumie, he had the Dorchester, all of the Dorchester, the whole floor of the Dorchester as his company. And he had his Arabs over from Iran or Iraq, because he was the top prosecutor of Iran or Iraq. He sold them a lot of arms that there wasn't arms, there was just parts of lorries and cars in containers. Got 25 million or something like 26 million, but it's still in a bank, I've been told, in Coots and Co, and they can't take it. So it's been there, what, I don't know, 30 years, 40 years. How much is that worth now? Crazy money, isn't it? Anyway, this is Bang Bang Ray Hill. Please press the like button and subscribe. And thanks very much for everybody subscribe and what they've done for me, yeah? Take care, bye-bye.